Man, this movie was just pure fan service and meme material. It was like a fart from heaven. I mean, this movie existed just to recreate the memes and it was perfection. It was such a fan service. Marvel went out there, Kevin Feige, John Watts and Marvel, they went out there and they said, hey, we know about all the memes out there, we know what you guys want, and we are aware that you want to see Toby, Andrew and Tom in one movie and the iconic lines to recreate it again in one movie. Here you go, have it all, because why the fuck not, right? Oh yeah, right. I mean, the amount of fan service was disgusting. It was so much. I thought my boner would destroy the ceiling sometime in the movie theater. And my theater, it went ape shit. I mean, they destroyed everything there. We screamed our lungs out. When Tobey Maguire went through that portal, I mean, holy shit. Oh yeah, and by the way, big spoilers for everyone who hasn't seen the movie. Get out, watch the movie 10 times and then come back here, because we are talking spoilers here. It's like ridiculous spoilers, right? So, we start off the movie where we ended it in Far From Home, and thanks to J. Jonah Jameson, JJJ, thanks to JJ, the entire world now has a short recap that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, or let's say thanks to Mysterio, right? So, what does he do? Peter takes MJ and they get out of there because the pedestrians are harassing them and they're like, oh, you Peter Parker, you're just a kid, you're now a murderer. And I'm like, oh, okay, now it's going on. They go away from there, they swing, and he calls Ned, and he's like, dude, and then she's like, dude, and save me, dude. It's like, oh, dude, shit. Okay, whatever. Move away from there, keep your calm, whatever else. So Peter swings back to his apartment where Aunt May is and Happy are, and they are having a kind of a breakup, and it's like, guys, just shut up, because there are bigger things happening there. So, the entire world is assembling outside of the apartment, and through the TV and the news, Aunt May and Happy are also finding out, oh shit, your identity has been revealed. Not like that Tony Stark did it, I don't know how many years ago, but you got framed, okay? This is a different story, whatever. It will get solved eventually. So, what does happen? The Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, is coming. They're taking them away a few days later, and MJ and Aunt May are telling Peter, don't say a word without a lawyer. Don't even say a single word. And once the word lawyer fell, I was like, okay, I know where this is going. And now it needs to get confirmed, because ever since last September, Sony's Latin America channel dropped the teaser where they said we will have all three Spider-Man in one movie, and eventually then after that there were even leaks where they told, okay, due to the fact that Peter is now a criminal, he needs a lawyer, and that will most probably be Matt Murdock. And I was like, shit. And what happens in the movie? We get a shot of the TV where Happy is watching himself. They show a picture of him, and he's like, oh, okay, they at least chose a good picture of me. The camera goes away from him, shows Peter, goes back, and then we see a hand holding a cane, and I'm like, yes! That's it, baby! That's what I wanted to see! And there he is. There he was, Matt Murdock. Daredevil is sitting there talking to Spider-Man. And they are talking some legally stuff, but whatever about that. An angry mob is still outside, and they throw a brick in the apartment of Peter and May, and Matthew Murdock grabs that thing. He catches it, and Peter is shocked. He's like, how the fuck you do that? And he's like, I'm Daredevil, bitch. He didn't say that. He said like, I'm a good lawyer. We know that you're a great lawyer. So a little bit of time passes, and of course our boys and girls are now attempting to go to college. And of course, because Peter is a murderer and Ned and MJ are his associates, nobody wants to have them. So, problem there, right? What does Peter do? He has a great idea. He goes to Doctor Strange and he is like, hey Strange, can you please do something to rewind time back, and so everybody that all of this scenario never happened. And Strange is saying like, first, I'm not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore because 5 years have passed and I've been gone. Wong is it now? Okay, cool. Wong is cool. And the second thing is, I do not have the Time Stone any longer. Yeah, remember that? Cap brought them back. So, next problem there. Cool. And what is he doing? He's like, but there's an alternative. And Strange is suggesting this. He is like, we could erase everybody's minds on Earth that you are Spider-Man. And Wong is like, Strange, don't do that. And Strange is saying like, hey Wong, you remember that one party we had? And Wong's like, no, exactly. It's like, okay, so you are partying wild, Wong. We gotta have an eye on you. So, Strange and Peter are going to a room together, and then he is explaining what this room is, and he is like, and they even shot an episode for the Equalizer in the 80s here, and it's like, oh cool. Whatever he's doing his spell, he's saying like, okay, everybody on the Earth will forget that you are Spider-Man, even myself, and it was good to know you, Peter. And Peter's like, no, not everybody, MJ needs to know. And then Strange is like, okay, everybody but MJ. And then he's like, no, Ned, my best friend, everybody but MJ, but my man. And he's like, shut the fuck up, and this spell is broken. And then this entire place is crumbling and he is opening the multiverse. But Strange is closing it back down, so there is not happening any more damage than this. And then after that, Strange is asking him, hey, did you talk to those guys from college, from MIT? Maybe you can talk with them. And Peter is like, oh shit, I didn't do that. And Strange is like, get the fuck out of here. So Peter is then, of course, looking out for the teacher of that college, one of the teachers, and he would just want to talk with her that, hey, at least if you don't want to take me, take my friends in there. And and then it happens. You can see the tentacles coming up, and it's like Doc Ock is there. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is coming, and he is completely nuts. He's like, what did you do to my machine, Peter? And I'm like, wait a second. So you gotta tell me that you were not taken from the point in the movie, in the story from Spider-Man 2 where you drowned, but you were taken from another point in the story. Because Doc, again, on that part, he was aggressive. He was like, okay, I'm gonna smash you. Where's my machine, Peter? And all of these kind of stuffs. And I'm like, okay, Doc in this movie, until this point, he's still getting controlled by his arms. He does not have the control, the arms have the control, but he believes he himself has it. He attacks Peter, they have an amazing battle at that bridge, and at the end, Doc is pushing him, Peter, against the bridge wall, and he's removing his mask, and then he's like, you're not Peter Parker, what is going on here? And he takes one of his nanotech into his tentacles. Then Peter Parker, or Tom Holland Peter Parker, has the full control of his tentacles. It's like, holy shit. He can control you now, Doc. And the battle goes on, Peter goes up, he talks with that lady from that college, and she is rescued by him, and Doc is trying to punch Peter, but he doesn't have a chance against him. So what happens there? From far away, an explosion comes, and it's Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. And Doc Ock is even stating, he's like, Osborn, is that you? And before they can go at it, Doctor Strange comes in, and he has Peter back at the Sanctorum. And he's like, hey Peter, you see those guys? There's Lizard, I chased him because I sensed an species, a soul which belongs not into this universe, and it's from somewhere else. And then Strange is telling him like, go search for other guys around the globe that came from other universes, because now he's introducing him to the concept of multiverse. So Peter goes, he takes MJ and Ned with him, and he's like, you guys help me, we have visitors from other universes. And the second one he finds is Electro. And it's Jamie Foxx's Max Dillon Electro, and the thing is, he is still in his pure lightning blue form, but then he transforms into this yellow lightning, and he has a control of himself. And at the same time, Flint Marco's Sandman is coming up, and he's like, oh Peter, it's you, I can help you with this guy. And then it's like, okay, they're first teaming up because this makes sense, because Flint Marco at the end of Spider-Man 3, he was good with Peter Parker, right? So what happens? They do not go at it, he helps him, then he talks with Max Dillon's Electro, and because Peter has now this magical armpit, he can bring them into those cells that Doctor Strange made. And he sends off Electro there, and then Flint Marco's Sandman is seeing it, and he's like, what did you do to him? And that was the point where he didn't trust him any longer. He was like, what did you do to him? And he wanted to attack him, and he sent him also in one of those cells. So then of course he goes back, and then we have a lot of talking going on, because we have Jamie Foxx's Electro and Doc Ock, they're all talking to each other. Then the Doctor Strange is there, and he's asking Alfred Molina, do you know Peter Parker in your universe? He's like, yes, it is. Is this him? And he's like, no, not this little runt. So yeah, it still goes on, and we have a lot of funny interactions, conversations with Max Dillon's Electro and Ned and MJ and Peter. It's really funny because Jamie Foxx can bring a humor pretty cool into the big screen. So the last one missing in this group of the Sinister Five, it should be Sinister Six, but whatever, is the Green Goblin. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is still the last one missing, and it's like, okay. This movie made a big statement and said, guys, the biggest and baddest and most dangerous villain for Spider-Man is the Green Goblin. End of story. So what does Peter do? He goes, he finds out that May has a visitor, and that he says that he's not from this universe, and Peter goes to Feast, Easter egg. And May works there, and then we see Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin at Feast. Before that, he destroyed his goblin mask, and he was like, hey, don't talk to me any longer, you goblin piece of shit, because Norman Osborn has his split personality. He has the goblin who takes control more often over him, and he has his own Norman Osborn. But in this case, yeah, Norman Osborn went to May, but later in the movie, the Green Goblin killed May. So it's like, shit. So Peter goes back to the Sanctum, and Doctor Strange comes, and he throws Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin into one of the cells, and then we are in the meme material here. Willem Dafoe is saying his meme line. He is like, you know, I'm something of a scientist myself. Why is he saying that? Because Peter suggested, hey, we can heal all of you guys, so you do not have to die when we send you back to your universes. And Doctor Strange is first like, no, we gotta send them back like this, they need to die, it's their fate. And Peter's like, hold on a second, we still can save them. And of course Strange is not having it, and then we have a fight between Strange and Peter Parker, and it's like, that was some insane shit. He threw him into the mirror dimension, and I don't know what else happened. This was such a cool fight. And at the end, Peter is like, hey Doc, math is better than magic, and he webs him up completely, and Strange is hanging down. And later in the movie he's like, I hung down the Grand Canyon for 5 hours. Ask Loki. Peter outsmarts Strange, and then he's coming back to the Sanctum, and he's freeing the villains after he convinced them, hey, we can heal you guys. And what does he do? He brings them to the safe house apartment from Happy Hogan, and there they are starting to heal up the guys. And it's so funny that Peter Parker is coming there with the most iconic villains. The first thing they do, they try to heal Doc Ock. He gives him a new chip. Doc Ock's arm has not the control any longer over him, and he's reverted back to his normal self, thank God. After that, they installed something for Electro that takes all his electric genes out of him, so he does not have these powers any longer. And then it happens, Green Goblin is taking over Norman Osborn, and Peter is sensing something before he does that. He is walking through the room and he's like, something is wrong here, and then he senses that it is Norman Osborn's Green Goblin, and he webs him up. He is like, hey, what are you doing? You're pure evil. And the thing is here, the Goblin is taking over and he's like, oh, you find out, huh? And he's saying so many lines to him, and then we get a brutal fight. I mean, Electro is not having it. He's like, hey, I want to stay Electro. Sandman is going away because he's thinking, I can't trust these guys. He's going away. Electro is then also attacking Doc Ock, and he's like, hey, I liked you better before. And I thought when he attacked him with the electricity that his chip again burned off and his tentacles would get control over him, but that was not the case. Doc was out of the window. Lizard was in the truck down, but he escaped through, and J. Jonah Jameson was downstairs and he was like, was that a dinosaur? What was that? And so it went on. And then we have a brutal fight with Goblin and Peter Parker. Tom's Peter Parker has first no chance against him. The Goblin is destroying Tom. He is wrecking him. Electro is shortly helping. He's like, here, go on, fight him more. And he beats him up. And at the end, he is using his glider. He throws a bomb. He's like, here, that's because you are too weak to protect. And the bomb explodes. Peter cannot catch it. And what is happening? Aunt May gets hurt a lot. And this is a very dramatic scene because she is being hurt deadly, but she still has breath enough and power enough. She says to him, hey, all of your choices you did were great and were good, and you did the right thing, because with great power comes great responsibility. And that was the iconic line said from Aunt May herself, because she knows it from Uncle Ben. So Peter is devastated because Aunt May dies, and he then is completely broken, and MJ and Ned are worried because Peter is not returning home. And then the OMG part of this entire thing happened. Ned and MJ have the idea because Ned stole the thing from Doctor Strange to open portals. He's like, we gotta search for him, right? And then he's opening a portal, and what happens? There is a Peter Parker, but not Tom Holland Peter Parker. He walks through and it's Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker. It's like, holy shit, and he demasks himself, and it's like, damn. Then he's like, okay, you gotta prove yourself, you're Spider-Man. He proves it, he crawls on the wall, cool and all. And then he's like, okay, we gotta do it again. He's doing this shit again, and then a second portal opens. And in this cinema, I went ape shit. I screamed, Tobey, and he comes through. And I mean it. When that portal opened, that second portal net opened, and it opened from the other side, I knew it was Tobey Maguire, because why else would they do it like that? But they did it perfectly. And the moment that portal opened, I screamed, Tobey! I clapped like a maniac, and the entire movie theater clapped with me. It was like a fire, a wildfire. It was so ridiculous. I was so happy that I had a cinema opening for this movie with fans, with hardcore fans, and not with some dead souls, because that happened to me with Avengers Endgame and I was shocked. But with this one, when Tobey and Andrew came, everybody went ape shit. So they of course look at each other, and then Tobey is like, who the hell is he? He is shooting his web to Andrew, and Andrew is shooting his web, and then they make a flip, both of them, and then Tobey shoots again a web, and he webs Andrew's web shooter, and he's like, huh, you're Spidey. And he's like, yeah, I'm Spidey, I'm the OG Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man. I grew up with his movies. He is the definitive Spider-Man for me. I only was hyped for this movie because I knew he was back. I just wanted to see all scenes with him. So Andrew and Toby go with MJ and Ned after talking, of course, and they're like, hey, is your Peter Parker maybe on some high spot where he wants to be alone to forget everything? And then, yeah, he's there. They call Tom, and Tom is reacting like, holy shit, there are other two of me. Why are they better looking than me? What is happening here? And yes, it's like, yes, those guys are you. And they have a talk, hey, those baddies are from your universes. You go deal with them. I don't care any longer. I'm heartbroken. Aunt May just died. And then he's like, okay, I don't know what to do anymore. But she said all of my choices were good choices because with great power. And Toby is, of course, looking like that. And he's like, comes great responsibility. And Tom is shocked and he's like, yeah, my Uncle Ben told me that. And then he's telling, I lost Uncle Ben. All of you guys lost Uncle Ben, but for you it was the most tragic one. And then Andrew's like, for me the most tragic one was losing Gwen Stacy. She was my MJ. And then yeah, those three have fought them back. They talk to each other a lot. And then they go back to they're at the apartment again to do laboratory stuff. And there we have three Peter Parkers there, doing all kind of science stuff. It's like, holy shit, how awesome is this? 3 scientists, 3 Peter Parkers, 3 Spider-Man. And from there on we had meme material all over. Because not only is Ned asking Tobey Maguire's Peter, he's like, hey, you had a best friend? And he's like, yeah, I had one, but he died in my arms. He tried to kill me, it was sad. There I had to correct the movie because Harry Osborn tried to kill you, but then he apologized. He was like, I'm sorry dude, now I help you, because the two of them fought Venom and Sandman. So, a little correction there, but whatever. And then Ned is looking at Toby and then he's looking at Andrew and he's like, yeah, the same thing happened to me. And then he's shocked, Ned is shocked, and he's then a little bit, he's going a little bit away from Tom Holland's Peter Parker because he doesn't want to turn a supervillain. And then the cool thing is, all 3 Peter Parkers are trying to cure the villains. They do not want to kill them, they want to cure them. So what happens there? They do their science stuff, they have their cool talkings, and then Ned is doing something and he's turning away and he's like, hey Peter, and all 3 of them, yes. And that is the point where we had the Spider-Man pointing meme at each other, and I laughed my ass off. I was like, yes, that's what I want, that's what I wanted. And all of them are pointing at each other. It's like, well, you mean me? No, him. No, you talk to me, right? But, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but he talked to us. What does it mean to me? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was funny as shit, and I love Kevin Feige and John Watts for including that. Those guys, they know all the memes out there. They know all the Bully Maguire memes, all the memes that are out there, and it's like, thank you, thank you. This movie is the best superhero movie ever made, and it's for certain the best Spider-Man movie that has ever been created. And the best solo superhero movie ever, to date, ever. It's better than Infinity War and Endgame. I'm sorry, it's better. So, we go on from there. Then Tom is like, okay, I gotta take my web flute also for my shooters. And Toby is like, what are those things? And he's like, that's my web flute for my shooters. You have web shooters? And he's doing it like this. And he's shooting his webs. And Toby's like, huh, you can do that, right? And Andrew is shocked. He's like, how the hell does this function? And Toby is like, what? What are you doing, man? So we go away from there because our 3 heroes, our 3 Spider-Men, are now preparing to fight the baddies. And where to fight them, the better off, we go to the Statue of Liberty. Tom is also announcing it. He's talking live with J. Jonah Jameson, who is broadcasting it live. And then he's showing himself with his smartphone. He's like, here, I'm at the Statue of Liberty because here people get second chances. This is freedom. He was just announcing it so the baddies can come up. And our 3 heroes, our 3 Spider-Men have a little bit time and we get so cool conversations with them. They are chilling, Tom is upstairs and Andrew and Toby are downstairs, and Toby is like doing this. He's like, my back is hurting, and that's a throwback to Spider-Man 2, where he fell down the building to the cars and he broke his back and he stood up and was like, my back! Oh, my back! And he is saying, he's even saying like, I think it's from all of the swinging, right? And Andrew is like, hey, come, I can crack your back if you want. He's like, oh yeah, come, please do it. And then he cracks his back. Then they have a little bit more talking. They're like, what were the weirdest bad guys you fought? And Toby is like, yeah, I fought a black alien goof creature. It was Venom, okay? And you wore that thing. And then Tom is interrupting. He's like, oh cool, I also fought a baddie alien. He was purple. I fought him on Earth and I fought him also in space. And Toby is a little bit shocked. He's like, wait, I'm still a little bit confused and shocked that you fought him in space. And Andrew is sitting there. He's like, nah man, you two are so cool. The best, biggest, weirdest thing I fought was a Russian man in a rhinoceros costume. Yeah. And Toby's correcting him, hey, you're not lame at all, you're amazing! Pun intended. He's the amazing Spider-Man, right? So, pretty cool there. And then Tom is shortly then breaking up the conversation. He's like, guys, you feel that? And all of their spider senses are tingling. And they're like, yeah, they're coming. First one to arrive, of course, is Lizard, followed by Sandman, followed by Electro. And then we have all kinds of conversations. Our Peter's trying to give our iconic villains the cure so their powers are gone and they are no longer supervillains, right? But the funny thing is, they want to do it together, but the two of them have never worked out in a group before, because they were always solo. And Tom is coordinating them. He's like, hey, you have never worked in a team? No, I've never worked in a team. And Toby is like to Andrew, yeah, me neither. I've never worked in a team. How does this work? And then Tom is like, hey, I don't want to be sounding cool and all, but I was in a group in the Avengers. And the two of them, that's great. Toby is like, that's great, but what are the Avengers? And Andrew's like, you are in a band? And I pissed myself laughing. I was like, no, you maniacs, no. And then Tom is explaining what the Avengers are, Earth's mightiest hero, and the bully McGuire out of nowhere came out. He's like, how is this happening? And he was like, okay, Peter 2, Peter 3, I'm Peter 1, we gotta coordinate, we gotta use our spider tingle, our spider sense. And they are like, okay, we gotta do it. And Andrew is like, wait guys, wait, I fucking love you. And I'm like, guys, he was talking through our hearts, we fucking love you guys. And then they are they are running, and all three of them are screaming, woohoo! And they swing, they do their webbings, they go swing around the Statue of Liberty, and then all of them pose. All of them have cool poses, cool iconic poses. And it's like, shit, that's what I wanted to see. And they attack all our three villains. Lizard, Sandman, and Electro. And there also we can see that one pun that happened in trailer 2 of the movie, where Lizard got punched by an invisible object. It was Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And yeah, the fight, and then from there on it went apeshit. The first they cure is Sandman. He gets the first molecule cureness and he went back to his human form, and we see the actor of Flint Marko, he returned back to his normal form, and Toby is taking off his mask. He's like, Flint, calm down, you're gonna be okay, we're gonna send you back, you can be with your daughter. And the best part about this was the original Danny Elfman Spider-Man theme music was playing, and I was like, oh, nostalgic, oh, that's so great. They're still going around. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is talking to Electro, and he's like, hey, don't do that, Max. You and I, we can handle this out. We're friends. But of course he doesn't listen. And then what's happening? Doc Ock comes into the picture. He takes the cure, he gives it Max. It's a little bit of a revenge because Max electrocuted him and threw him out of the building before. And then Doc is like, here, payback time, right, son? And then he takes the arc reactor from Max and he's looking at it and he's saying again his iconic line. He's like, the power of the sun. And before he finishes his sentence, Toby comes around the corner and he's like, in the palm of your hands. And This was so nostalgic, this was perfection, this was really, if not my favorite scene in the movie. It's like Doc Ock, Otto Octavius and Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker are meeting again. And the Danny Elfman theme was playing in the background and I was like, shit, this is so cool, this is so great. And he is like, and this is, thank God, this is the good Otto Octavius. He's not controlled by his tentacles. This is his normal form. He's good. He's doing good for mankind, Otto. And he's like, oh, it's good to see you, dear boy. And then he's saying it to back. He's like, oh, it's good to see you, Otto. They were talking through our hearts. They knew we wanted to see them back and they talked for us. It's good to see both of you back. It's like, yes, thank you. That's what we wanted. And yeah, they talk and he's like, how are you doing? And then he says the line from Spider-Man 2, he's like, trying to do better. Because Otto always said to him, brilliant but lazy. And he said, oh, I'm trying to do better in Spider-Man 2. It was so great to see that. It was so amazing. And then Doctor Strange comes in because they got interrupted. Doctor Strange comes in and then he sees 3 Peter Parkers and he's like, what the fuck? How is this possible? Why are 3 of you here now? And they mock Strange. They are like, hey, you are a magician. Why didn't you have a young Peter here? But Peter explains to Strange, hey, it can work. We cured them. And before they can finish everything off, they cure Lizard. Dr. Connors gets cured. Electro is cured. Doc Ock is no longer a baddie, so he is cured. And then finally the Goblin comes in. Strange goes up to the top of the Statue of Liberty to get control of the multiverse breaking in, because everybody in the multiverse who knows Peter Parker is coming to the MCU universe, to the main timeline, and Strange needs to stop this. And this is happening, and at the same time the Green Goblin comes in. He wrecks a lot of those guys. He even cuts one of Doc Ock's tentacles, and I'm like, how is this possible? I thought those things are indestructible. How can you destroy that? But he cuts it off. Then we get a brutal fight with Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and the Green Goblin, and he destroys him. But Tom was serious. He went full force. He didn't back off. He destroyed the Goblin. He even took his glider and he wanted to kill him. And Toby's Peter saw that and he jumped into the picture and hold it. And he was like, and he was looking at him with disbelief. And then Peter realized what he's doing, Tom's Peter. And then he let go, he put that down. And our Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, he was proud. He's the dad Spider-Man out of the 3. He was proud of him. He was like, good boy, that's what I wanted to see. So, that happened. And then of course the Goblin, that piece of shit, stabbed Toby's Peter from the back. And I am like, I didn't even believe for one split second that he was going to die, because everybody who watched the Raimi movies know that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man took a grenade in the face and he survived even that. So no chance, Marvel, but nice try. So yeah, so Strange then at the end does the spell. Everybody forgets that Tom Holland's Peter Parker is Spider-Man. The multiverse gets corrected. Our guys get sent back to their universes. The villains get sent back, but they are cured now. So that means in their universes they are not dead any longer because they are cured now. And I think due to them being cured and staying alive now, wouldn't that create another new universe where they are alive? Or would that mean that in the Sam Raimi universe, Osborn and Octavius are now back at the picture? So I don't know how that works, but Kevin Feige will most likely bring, if they can reach new deals with Sony, will bring back Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire for more movies. I so hope, because this was ridiculous. So at the end, everybody forgets that Tom Holland's Peter Parker, Spider-Man, even Strange himself, and all of the other Avengers, all of the other heroes, even MJ and Ned. And our Peter is completely alone now. At the end, he's in his apartment. He needs to start from fresh over, and we can see this emptiness in him, in his room. He's completely empty. He's completely alone from now on. So, a fresh new start. But the best thing about this is, he made a new suit for himself. He made it himself this time. And he got inspired by Tobey's and Andrew's suits. He has such a new, iconic, great comic accurate looking suit. It's like it has this light metallic blue colored and this shiny red with the comic accurate eyes. It's like perfect. He has this spider front symbol from Tobey's suit, and on the back he had Andrew style, the logo, but it was shorter. And I was like, yes. Now he's out of this Spider-Boy, Iron Boy Jr. shit. Now he's Spider-Man. MCU has now their perfect Spider-Man. Please go. And we have the most accurate live-action Spider-Man outfit ever. But for myself, the best one is this. This movie was fantastic. This movie was fantastic. It was the best Spider-Man movie ever. And it was the best superhero movie ever. Without any questions.